Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. I am Illeagle 86, and I am joined, as always, by my good friends Nerdbomber and Techtic.
Hello.
Fun fact about me, and this is not a joke. And so we typically spend like a good, half hour to an hour, maybe even longer sometimes, riffing before we hit make the mics hot. Usually I'm spilling my guts about everything I've done that day, etc. to these fine folks. You know what I had for dinner today, guys?
What?
Ice cream.
Oh, so we got to do a quick episode here because you're going to be running to the bathroom?
Nope, already did that. Done with that. I actually did. I had a bathroom scare before logging on, but it was a false alarm. We're coming in real hot today, but yeah, had ice cream for dinner. I have no regrets. It's summer. All right. I don't have I do have parents, but like they don't live with me.
Hey, you're doing.
They can't tell me
right.
what to do.
You're also doing being a kid living in an adult's body, right? So, way to go, you.
Let me ask you guys this pivotal question. Let's have a debate to start things off. Make the mics hot. You walk up to the local ice cream stand. All right. Guy opens a window. He's wearing one of those hats that ice cream workers wear. He says, "Soft serve or hard ice cream?" What are you saying? I'll have follow-up questions.
No, soft serve.
What flavors?
Whatever flavor you want. Just soft serve or hard ice cream.
If it's straight up either chocolate or vanilla,
you're making
this
too complicated.
No, because you asked a hard question. If it's chocolate or vanilla are my only options, I'm going with the hard. But if they have like a pistachio soft serve or a blueberry soft serve or something with like a little pizzazz, I'm going soft serve all day.
No,
there is the correct answer, and it's chocolate vanilla twist soft serve.
It's always soft serve because if you're going out to get ice cream, like you can't make soft serve at home unless you have a Ninja Creamy.
That's
then
correct.
You can get close, but it's not quite the same. You can't get soft serve at home. I can get hard ice cream at home. I don't need to go to an ice cream place to get that. I can Instacart that from my local grocery store.
You gotta get hard.
I don't want to get hard. I want to get soft.
I have never been as much your friend as I've been right now. Because that's exactly the correct answer. Now, follow-up question.
Sprinkles.
No sprinkles. First of all, I'll die on that hill. That wasn't the question I was going to ask.
Sprinkles.
They're messy. They taste like nothing. They're not good.
They don't taste like nothing unless you go to a bad ice cream place.
Don't you dare besmirch my ice cream place, which I will not be naming on the air, but don't you dare besmirch them. Waffle cone or like...
Waffle cone.
No, sugar cone.
Whatever the other cone is.
Oh, no, sugar cone.
And I'm not talking about the like weirdly fluffy sugar cone. I'm talking about like the smaller scale waffle cone.
Waffle cone.
No, waffle cone is too big.
What about, I think they're called cake cones.
Yeah, the cake cone is zero. No, screw that. Sugar cone.
Oh, you guys don't like styrofoam? You guys don't like styrofoam? I love the styrofoam.
No styrofoam for me. Plus,
okay, well, I no longer feel like your friend.
The problem
it was a good run, though.
With the styrofoam cone is that it has those little, like around the outer diameter of the cone, there's like little divots. And then you get ice cream stuck in those little damn divots. And every time you bite in, then it kind of like dribbles out and you make a mess. Now, sugar cone is the way to go. Waffle cone is too big. I appreciate a waffle cone, but they're too large. I'm not that in charge.
My stance is basically not styrofoam. Whatever cone give me, I'm fine. Just not styrofoam.
I love the styrofoam. Unabashedly.
So do you like going, so for anybody who's not like a Catholic Christian or has never been in their life.
Oh, I love it.
You love the little wafer at like Catholic
Love
communion?
The little wafer. Oh, best part of my Sunday. Getting the little wafer.
Give me that body of Christ.
nice little breakfast treat. Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up because they literally like, I don't know which one, like where there's a factory and they're making either those cones or the little Catholic
wafer.
breads.
You know how
and the
offage
goes.
The little wafer is just the top that they punch out.
Yeah, it's like they're like punching it out and they're like, all right, give these to the churches, and then they put the cones in the boxes and they ship them out, and it's all good. I love all of it.
I really hope this is all true.
At Online Warriors 1 is our main show account on Twitter and Threads, ?
We're at Online Warriors Podcast on Threads.
At Online Warriors Podcast on Threads. I'm still just on Twitter at Online Warriors. No, at OW86. We've at OW Techtic, at OW Nerdbomber. It's summertime. It's ice cream time. So yeah, hit us up there. Let us know what your ice cream, are you a soft serve or hard ice cream guy? Are you a cake cone gal? Are you a waffle cone person? Let us know. Let's start a conversation.
Actually,
today
hold up.
we are talking.
There is one other option here. You get your
just
soft
a sundae,
serve.
just a dish.
You get your soft serve in a bowl, but within that bowl, you have the waffle cone inside.
That's too complicated. You've lost the ice cream stand worker. They're like, why would you do this?
No,
Just get it in the cone.
They put the cone on top so you can then have more ice cream and spoon it and not get slop everywhere.
No, if I'm going to an ice cream, again, the bowl, I could make a bowl of ice cream at home. I can't make a cone at home. Actually, I probably could. You can buy the cones at the grocery store. That's a known fact. But it's too hard. I want them to do it. So that's my official stance on that. But yeah, go get some ice cream. Pause the podcast. Don't turn it, still listen to all of it, but right now, pause it. Go get some ice cream. Come back. You'll be glad you did. Maybe even do it for dinner. I'm here to tell you that it's okay. I did it and I'm still standing for now. We'll see what happens in the next hour or so. We're going to be talking about television and film today, which, for those that are not on the internet, I guess, bit of a tumultuous industry right now. First we had the writers, and now we have SAG-AFTRA is on. They are, as of this recording, on strike, and it seems like that one's going to be a bit. And allow me to use that as a segue into our first topic. And we all kind of do a round table. What topics do we want? And Techtic just said Bob Iger.
That's all that needs to be said, folks.
There's a lot of meat on those bones. So I want to swing it over to you just so you can. There's a lot of reasons you might want to talk. He said a lot of stuff this week. So I want you to kind of direct me as to which of his many comments you want to have some discourse on.
So I think where we should start as far as Bob Iger goes is the Marvel and Star Wars side of it, because I want to ease into I want to start nice.
The strikey stuff?
I want to start nice, So
sure.
The news with regards to, one of the many things with regards to Bob Iger is that he says that there will be reducing spending and creation on new Marvel and Star Wars content. Yes, please, for the love of God,
good.
Yes.
Yeah, which is good. I think we're all agreeing that it's good. I guess I don't want to speak for you, Nerdbomber, but
haven't we all been saying for a while, this is good stuff?
I've been seeing a lot of I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There's a Marvel show going on right now called Secret Invasion, which appears to be dropping a bunch of bombs. It appears to be dropping a bunch of bombs about characters that have been. Yeah, there's characters that have been Skrulls that they're revealing have been Skrulls since Endgame, and I'm I see the clip on Twitter and I'm I don't care. You've made me not care. Samuel L. Jackson's in it. He's back as Nick Fury. He's doing stuff. I should be very invested in this, and I am not. And why is that? I think they're finally starting to ask that question, because if you also I saw a tweet, and I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but these shows have movie budgets or bigger than movie budgets. Secret Invasion's budget, multiple hundreds of millions of dollars, which is just bananas. They're just writing blank checks over there to make a show that I really don't think many people are watching. This is the thing with streaming, is that the numbers are murky. We don't know how many people are watching. It sure doesn't seem like much, just from my perspective. So I think it may be time to dial back a bit on the Marvel stuff. And Star Wars, I think maybe less so, but it's in a similar situation where let's maybe do something new. Is that,
Well, now that said, the question really should follow is, where are they going to divert that cash, right? And hopefully the answer is back into their
Indiana
employees, or will it go to the CEO's pockets? The answer is really, really critical on where that money gets diverted. If it's just to, stock buybacks, CEOs just pocket change, or is it going to, I don't know, maybe writers?
I think it's more so. First of all, I think if you think the money is going to be diverted to actors and writers and people who are doing the work, I think you're deluded. I think the better question is more, what new projects might those monies and creation powers be diverted to? Which probably the answer realistically is that we don't know, because there are things that haven't been announced yet. But I like that. I like the idea of that. I like when they brought Willow back. Granted, that was an existing IP too, but I didn't watch it, but I was this seems like a cool thing. Let's have more stuff like this. That's just kind of out of the blue, not associated with a universe. Not a live action remake of something.
Did Willow get removed from Disney Plus?
I believe Willow's already gone. I don't know for sure, but that sounds right. Willow, Disney Plus. Well, the people also ask, why was Willow removed from Disney Plus? So yes, May 27th, they removed it from Disney Plus. You can't watch it. Don't even try watching it. It was new content. It's gone. Forget it. It came out November 30th, and by May 27th, it was gone. So that's cool. Let's talk more about Bob Iger. Let's talk about his, and now can we get mean? Do I have permission to get mean? I think it's time to be
get mean.
One of the things he said is like this. Wasn't he the one who was like the strategy here is just like wait for people to lose their apartments?
Yeah, it was something like that. They were all being unrealistic with their expectations or something like that, and they can just wait them out until they lose their homes.
Yeah, which, like, first of all, that's a horrible thing to hope for and do and say, and just there's a lot of things bad about that. Second of all, let me just throw this out there. Not a good strategy. Like, I would argue who is going to be more resilient in this situation. And I've seen tweets arguing this very thing of like the most pampered CEOs ever who need things to go their way at all times, or writers who tend to have to work very hard for everything they get and are used to living in adverse conditions, quite frankly. I mean, one of the things that's been constantly chorused throughout the writer's strike and now, the SAG after strike is like, when you think of SAG and when you think of the WGA, you think of like, people like, oh boy, I don't know, Chris Evans, or like a big actor who's, got it made in the shade, a lot of money, and you're like, why are they striking? They're rich. The vast majority of SAG members, WGA members, and in particular WGA members, because they're like the unsung heroes, are pretty dirt poor, like are not making that kind of money, do not have any kind of safety net to fall back on. But again, they are used to that. They're
scrappy then.
Yes, that for lack of a better term, like they're in those conditions constantly. So I think for Bob Iger to say, oh, we'll just wait him out, like doesn't seem like a good strategy to me.
Because do you want to know what they're saying? Oh, we'll just wait him out.
Or if you're Ron Perlman, you're like, I will light your house on fire. I don't know if you guys saw that.
That was absolutely wild. Like, I think one of the craziest things to me on both, sides of the proverbial strike line here is, or I guess I should have said picket line because that would have made more sense. But like how open they're being. Like you literally have Bob Iger saying, fuck all y'all. Sorry for my language. And then you also have Ron Perlman saying, we're going to burn your house down, Bob. Like out in the open. Like even
break
if this
out
is
the guillotine.
Well, it's like even if this was something you were thinking in your head, like usually this type of stuff is not publicized, and yet in this strike it is, and it's fascinating to me. And I don't know if that's a result of living in the age of social media where like Ron Perlman can just hop on his phone and make a video or what, but like I don't think we've seen anything this transparent, at least in the last couple decades. So this is very interesting to me.
Viva la revolution. I think
it seems like, and sitting at the crux of a lot of this, and I think one of the core concerns of SAG in particular, and rightfully so, is the use of AI likenesses. We're seeing this become more and more common, popular, cost-effective for studios. And, everything I've heard has been that I think it's the AFTMP. The MP is movie producers. There's like a guild of movie producers that, from everything I've heard, are being extremely unreasonable about all this stuff.
Well, the craziest thing I heard was that they would basically pay a background actor for 1 day of pay and then, scan their likeness and be able to use it in perpetuity with AI. And like, could you imagine? You get paid for 1 day of work, I guess, getting scanned, what have you. And then like 15 years later, you're like, you know what? I'm going to go see this movie. And you see yourself and you're like a Nazi or something.
They freaking did that to me. Have you ever seen a show called Succession?
That's true. That did happen to you. I was wondering if you were going to bring that up. Yeah, no, I just, it's crazy. And, you're seeing things too. And there's been a lot of stuff before any of these strikes happened about the horrible mistreatment of, well, actually, what I really mean to say is that visual effects artists, I don't think they have a guild. They don't have a union as far as I know. So the reason that you're seeing so many things being CGI'd in instead of like set designed is because set designers have unions. And it seems like it's a lot easier to subjugate and exploit visual effects, artists. So that's why, and like, I think that's maybe the next piece of the puzzle. That's the next, what's the word I'm looking for? The next domino to fall in this whole thing is like, eventually it's just going to be all these people against the producers and the CEOs. And the producers and the CEOs are going to be like, come on. Everyone's going to be like, no, give us more money.
If you think it's going to end in the entertainment industry, I mean, this just seems like a huge union boom, like holistically.
Well, UPS is the other one that they haven't gone on strike yet, but I think they are poised to later this, again, as of our recording, unless they've reached a deal since like I heard about it this morning. I think they're poised to potentially strike, which would be like a really big deal. That would be like billions upon billions of dollars a day being lost. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tumultuous time.
I guess that's why you didn't have dinner, so you had room to eat the rich.
That's, oh boy, I like what you did there, but I was just like, some days you're just like, I'm just lazy. Just give me some ice cream. But yeah, no, it's all crazy. Bob Iger, really out of touch. I think that's really the main point here.
Bob Iger, you suck. But yeah, nice job
stuff about Disney and Disney and Marvel cutting back the spending and the creation. I mean, I think it's like multiple years too late that you're reaching that conclusion, but at least you've made it to the conclusion. I don't know.
Which I guess circle back to point one of you're out of touch.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's stay with the fantastical for our next topic. And let's talk about one of Hollywood's favorite golden boys, Timothée Chalamet, and his 2023 film, Wonka. Release date for December 15th, just got its first trailer in this past week. And do we start with the Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa, or do we save that for the end? Because, wow. It was nightmare fuel.
Yeah, very like uncanny valley. Like obviously it was him, but it almost looked like they had scanned his AI likeness and forced it to dance as an Oompa Loompa, and it was very unsettling.
If sleep paralysis was a character in a movie, I think it would be him, and they saved it for that last little like coming in December. And then they showed him like doing that stuff at the end. That was like, they're like, we're going to leave you with this. This is the fastest pitch this movie has. Look, I don't want to be a downer about this movie. Like should it be remade? No. I guess, is it a remake? Let's start with that.
It's not a remake. Like the origin story of Willy Wonka, which, okay, interesting concept. I don't know if I needed it though.
I have the perfect comparison that I have been like super excited to make all day long thinking about this show. This had the same fantastical elements that nobody gave a shit about as the 2020 movie Dolittle.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It gave the exact same vibes, and I guarantee you it's going to do just as poorly.
But Dolittle was actually bad, right?
I forgot about Dolittle. Well, Dolittle, first of all, I think it was actually bad. I didn't see it. Dolittle, that was a totally different Dr. Dolittle than the Dr. Dolittle.
It was starring Robert Downey Jr.
When I think Dr. Dolittle, I think Eddie Murphy in the 90s or the 2000s, whenever it was, talking to animals.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Dolittle, the Robert Downey Jr. in fairness, was a big reimagining that I think just totally missed the mark. It was like a John Carter kind of thing where they had a big idea and it just missed the mark completely. So I don't know if I agree with that comparison too much. This is just like I
want you to take the homework assignment and watch the trailer for Dolittle and then watch the trailer for Wonka, and you will.
Do I have to?
I mean, it's your homework assignment.
Fair enough. I just I very much resent. I like Timothée Chalamet. I resent Hollywood for forcing him to do a Gene Wilder impression as one of the most beloved characters in cinema. He's going to fail.
Well, did you see?
He's going to fail, and it's not his fault. It's kind of where I'm going with this. Is I feel bad for him. He has to do this. It's his job is Hollywood's golden boy, and it's going to go so badly.
I do prefer him to Depp, though. This is a better rendition than Johnny Depp.
Depp was so different. Depp was like Tim Burton did one of his fever dream things, and it was just supposed to be dark and scary.
Like Gene Wilder hates that rendition of this movie, and I guarantee you he will much more prefer this.
The thing that confuses me is that the director or the casting director said that they chose Timothée Chalamet based on his YouTube videos of himself rapping. And so
yes, I didn't hear that.
So there better be a rap scene in there.
Yeah, does that mean that he's going to rap? That's the thing that really sold him as Willy Wonka.
I got a chonka.
I want to know how that vibe, because I, of course, then went and looked those up. I want to know how that vibe played into the casting decision here. Aside, they could have just said, oh, he's one of the hot young actors coming up in Hollywood right now. But instead they were like, no, we saw his rapping YouTube videos.
Do you want to know what I bet you it was? I bet you it was they saw that cologne commercial and they didn't want to say, I saw that cologne commercial. It was like, Timmy. So they were just quickly Googled something.
I just think it's very, and we've talked about this before with many of the remakes and I guess you can count the Tim Burton thing, but unearthing a movie and an interpretation of a character that is 40 years old. I don't even know when Willy Wonka came out. It's been so long. It just feels so hollow. And I don't think it's poised to succeed. The production value looks high. The cast is star-studded. I don't know if any of that matters. I don't know. I can't feel good about it. I want to feel good about it, but I can't.
My main issue is the casting of Timothée Chalamet. And the reason why is because he looks so young. Okay, and I know this is
that's the point.
And I get that, but he looks too young. And if it was like the part of it when he was traveling, like what they showed in the very beginning of the trailer, and it focused on that before he started the factory, I would have been for it. But because it was like the starting point of the factory, it feels like he should have been more like traveled and like aged at that point. That like, because I like to think that Willy Wonka, like Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, started the factory very shortly after we seen the golden ticket appear, right? It wasn't just this factory that's just been there for years and years and years and years and years, and no one's allowed to be in there. That it was only there for like a few years. People knew it was magic, but no one went in, and then this ticket happened. And so that's why
I don't think that's true. I mean, he was, if you remember from the original movie, he's trying to retire. Presumably, he's had the factory for a while.
Is that so?
Like
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Charlie is his replacement. Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie is his replacement. The whole thing is like him training a replacement. So I think the factory's been around for a minute.
And so you think it makes sense with the aging and the character choice? I guess that's fair. I'm coming around
I think it makes sense. I just like, and again, I feel like I'm saying the same thing I've said about so many remakes of like this movie, watching the trailer, I'm like, this is a kid's movie. But kids who were born within the past, I don't know, 10 years probably have absolutely no knowledge of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So you're making this movie and you are trying to both introduce them to a character and also call back to a character that they have no knowledge of in a world that they have no knowledge of. It's doomed to fail. Like, make a new character. It shouldn't be that hard. Make a character that's similar, but not him. Even that, I think, would be better. It's just like, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. And they're always doing this. And yeah, it bothers me. I also think that like a lot of the charm of the Willy Wonka story based on the original Road Doll classic is like there is a kooky chocolate factory full of like danger. Like there's kind of a darkness to it. And I think that's why the Tim Burton movie was made is like he turns a girl into a giant blueberry.
Yeah, he kills kids. You think this one's going to kill kids?
He kills kids basically. No. But like that's the point. This is almost trying to like rose-colored glasses it, and like the original Willy Wonka movie is like also kind of a cautionary tale. This has I don't think any intent of being that. It's just it feels so far flung from its inspiration that they just have to be stealing the name, and I don't love that. I mean, it looks like again the production value looks high, has a great cast. It may make them some money, but at what cost? Like that's just when I watch the trailer, I'm like, this looks bad. Like it feels like a sin.
I feel like it could go one of two ways. It could either go, like Techtic said, the Doolittle way, where it is horrific. And
not horrific, just no one cares.
Well, no, people said it was like really bad. Like it got a really bad score on Rotten Tomatoes.
I believe I'll Google that right now, but go on.
Or it could be sort of like The Greatest Showman, which if I might be talking out of my butt here, but I want to say it had a really kind of like weak theatrical start, but then, word of mouth, people were like, hey, this was actually pretty like decent. You should go watch this. And then it kind of became like a little cult classic sort of thing. I feel like it could go one of those two ways, but I don't think this thing is going to like sell gangbusters unless,
Doolittle got 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Like I said, horrific.
76% audience score, but tomato meter, 15. Not very good. Pretty bad, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't want to like really rain on this parade too hard, but I kind of do. Why would you do this? Don't do it. You shouldn't have done it. Like, I don't know. For Timothée Chalamet's sake, I hope it does well because I do like him. And again, I feel like he's been given an impossible job.
But honestly, even if this flops, he's in Dune and other things that I think this will just be a blip on the radar.
He'll be fine. That's a reasonable point. He'll be all right. Yeah, December 15th, 2023, Wonka. Go see it. Or don't. It's really up to you. We'll take a short break now. Come back to talk about another thing that is being revived from the sands of like the early 2000s. And I have a lot to say about that too. Some of it very similar to what I just said. But before we take a break and come back to that, I would be remiss if I did not shout out our fantastic Patreon producer, Mr. Stephen Keller. Stephen has been with the show for quite a while now. He's had a few guest spots on the show. He is a knight at our Square Table. As a result, he gets input into the weekly game segment. He gets this producer shout out. He gets the guest segment, which I just mentioned. He, of course, also gets access to the monthly secret segment and the vlog. You want to be like Stephen. You want to be able to wear the shiny suit and have the sword and, all that fun stuff. There's also a Squire level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment and vlog, and a page level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. All of those levels can be found over at patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Head over there, say hi to us, say hi to Steven. Consider giving back to this show that you've hopefully been listening to for hundreds of years. I don't know, however long this show's been on. How long have we been doing this? Like 2 years, 3 years?
Oh God, it's like
4 years?
7 or 8.
5 years? 6 years? 7 years? I don't know. Who's keeping track? Clearly not me, but someone is. The legal department, probably. Anyways, thanks to Steven. Head over to patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Check us out there, and we'll be right back to talk about Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Hey, welcome to the Last Comic Shop Podcast,
a comic book podcast that actually talks about comics.
Yep, each week we open the shop up and read and discuss a comic.
Sometimes we pair that up with comic book movies or TV shows.
Or not. Lots of times it's just comic books and sound effects.
Oh, yes, definitely lots of sound effects.
So tune in on all the major podcasting platforms for the Last Comic Shop Podcast, or check out our library of evergreen shows at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You remember this movie? You know, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt.
Isn't this where they got together?
Batatis.
This is where they got together. This movie came out in 2005. It was a big hit, I believe. Made like a jajillion dollars, $487.3 million at the box office, which in 2005 was like a huge deal. Only 59% of Rotten Tomatoes, which I feel like is low. This is a good movie. Let me just start by saying that the original Mr. and Mrs. Smith, really good movie. Have you guys seen this movie?
Yes, it's on
great.
Cable all the time.
Yeah, I feel like
it was on cable constantly.
I don't know if I've ever like sat down and actively watched it all the way through, but I've definitely seen the entire movie in bits and pieces through
the
cable.
Couch scene. Everyone knows the couch scene.
The couch scene. It's on Wikipedia. It's called a romantic action comedy, which is what it is. And so that brings us to now. So the basic story of the movie is there's a husband and a wife. They are both assassins. They don't know they're assassins, and then suddenly they do know that they're assassins working for competing companies to kill the same person. And then they're given, I believe they're given the job to kill each other, but I can't even remember what happens after that. Vince Vaughn is also in it. Great movie. Great movie. They are now turning it into a show on Amazon Prime, coming in November of this year, starring Donald Glover, presumably as Mr. Smith, and Maya Erskine as Mrs. Smith. And this will not work.
Is it because sex appeal?
It is, yes. I do think in large part what made the original movie go, and what these people aren't understanding now, is that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, they were so sensual on screen that they got together in real life afterwards. That is what made the movie go. I also, baby. Like, I think another critical aspect of this is that the plot of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, there's just I can't imagine stretching this into even one season of television. Granted, the plot may be different for the show, but like I think the plot of Mr. and Mrs. Smith was very good. It was very self-contained, and it had just enough juice to get you through however long the movie was, like 2 hours. I question if the premise is the same, which is there's a husband and a wife who are assassins, and they find out they're both assassins. I don't know how you make a show about that. Like, can one of you help me determine that?
They're gonna drag out the comedic reveal for the first season. So I think the actors that they had chosen are going to work very well for the comedy side of it.
True. I'll grant you that.
The debonair side, that is, secret spy assassins, I agree. I don't think they have that je ne sais quoi, if I may. They seem like they would just be more comedy. And that's where I struggle on this one. But that said, you can drag comedy out a lot more than you can drag sex appeal. And so that's why I think that aspect of it, you might get more of a, what was that goofy spy show? Like in Get Smart, they had that show running forever, and that's that quirky, fun comedy spy. So we know it's possible for them to work it and drag it out into multiple seasons. But like I said, I think that's the only chance this show has.
You're touching on a good point, I think, of this needs to lean more into comedy than I think the movie did. The word debonair is a really good word choice. Like, I don't know if I buy Donald Glover as a spy.
Exactly. That's why he could be perfect as a spy, right?
Yeah, isn't that kind of the point? Is that, they're supposed to be able to blend in and be normal people?
And maybe that ends up being a pun in the show. They go, you're not a spy. you're not hot. And he's like, exactly.
Possibly. Because and that's another good point is like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are like the two most spy-looking people on the planet. They're like the hottest people ever.
Let me ask you
They're probably good at everything, you know?
Would you ever think I was a spy?
Yeah, I could see you as a spy.
That's why I'm not a spy.
You've a lot of know-how, you know? Like, you know how. That's kind of my thing with you. I think you could be a spy. Paul Dano is in this show. I will say that immediately makes me want to watch it. I love Paul Dano. Anything he does, I'm interested in. Just carte blanche, that guy. But yeah, I don't know about this one. I really don't. I have Prime Video. The chances of me watching it are up just because of that. But I worry this is going to be another show. Like, what was the spy show they did that no one watched that cost them like $1 jillion? Citadel.
Oh yeah, the one with I don't even. The guy and the girl.
You guys are nailing it.
She's married to Jonah's brother. I know that's not all she's known for. Priyanka Chopra. There we go.
Priyanka and the guy, one of the Starks, Richard Madden. They're both spies. It was a huge show. It like cost lots of money, and I don't think anyone watched it. For all I know, it's coming back for season 2. But yeah, I would hope this doesn't have as big of a budget. I think you're right though. I think the comedy potentially has juice. I've watched Community, and Donald Glover was hilarious in that show, and I've heard Atlanta is really good. Haven't watched any of it. Maya Erskine, most people probably know her for Pen 15, which I've also heard is really funny, but I haven't watched it. So again, we're talking about two heavy hitters in comedy, really, and not exactly heavy hitters in like being spies. So yeah, again, November 2023, this one comes out. We'll see. I mean, we got a quote unquote first look at this week. It was really a 10-second clip of those two people being in the show. So I think we're going to get a more detailed trailer at some point, which will tell us more about what the show actually is going to be. But for now, it's left up to our imaginations. And the imagination is a large and dangerous place. So we'll leave it at that for now. And moving to What Are You Up To Wednesday? And I feel like I've gone first the past couple weeks, so I'm going to shift things to someone else. And that someone else is Nerdbomber. Nerdbomber, what have you been up to?
Oh boy, what have I been up to? We watched a movie.
We watched Renfield.
Yes, we watched Renfield.
You watched Renfield?
We watched Renfield.
Okay.
It is currently streaming on Peacock right now. So if you have Peacock, you can go watch Renfield for free. Well, I mean, you've paid for Peacock, so not for free, but it's on there.
I do not have Peacock, but go on.
It was not as funny as I expected it to be, especially given the cast. I think I expected it to be a little bit funnier. I guess Nicholas Hoult isn't that known for being super funny, but
Awkwafina is, though.
Awkwafina really is. And I felt like just in the last few things that Nick Cage has been in, he's been like quirky funny. So I guess I just expected it to be a little bit more of a comedy than it was. I would say it was probably more of like an action movie through.
You didn't even mention all the funny people that were in there.
Who else was in it?
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah.
Ben Schwartz?
Ben Schwartz
was in it. Like,
that dude is super funny.
I guess I just expected it to be funnier, and it really wasn't. They were all just kind of like, every now and then there would be a one-liner, but most of it was just kind of like
the
action
people
and serious.
You were expecting to be funny were either trying to be badasses or to have like honor and gravitas. And it was...
Tell me about my guy Nick. How was Nick as Dracula?
Dark.
Like, he played a decent
evil
Dracula. Like, he was definitely creepy enough for sure. And I will say the prosthetics team, those teeth that he had, really grody. So props to them for that, because, you know, A+ really did kind of weird me out a little bit. So I guess I'm kind of glad, because this was one that I think I had wanted to see, like, maybe not in theaters, but like in a drive-in, because I remember being up at the drive-in a while back and I wanted to go see it, and then it just never happened. And I think I'm kind of glad that I didn't pay money for it, because like it was entertaining, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. I just thought it would be a funnier take on Dracula, and I think, like Techtic said, too much of everybody tried to be a little bit too earnest, which fine, but it's supposed to be over the top. So like, I don't know if it had the right balance for me personally.
My sense of this movie was as follows. I saw the trailer, I saw Nicolas Cage as Dracula, and it was sensory overload, and I kind of shut off after that. I do remember like the jokes, the joke in the trailer that was like, you're the guy who brings Dracula his Postmates. I was like, that's not funny. And I think that was like one of the headlining jokes of the trailer. So I don't know if I would have expected it to be super funny, but like you said, given the cast, I would have expected to have some chuckles.
And like, I'm not saying it was
good to know.
Bad. It was entertaining. I was entertained. It's one of those movies where I'm glad I didn't necessarily pay full price at a theater to see.
Yeah, I get that. I've seen many movies like that.
Techtic, did you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah.
When you're watching it, I want you to think limitless adrenaline shot. That's a callback to some of our pre-show chatter.
Dracula is one of my biggest fears. Like, child Illeagle, super afraid of Dracula and vampires.
Really?
Yo, no shit, I was too.
Yeah.
I was not. I wanted to be Dracula as a little kid.
So
that's messed up.
I don't know where your fear stemmed from, but mine, there was some scary movie. It was around Halloween, and I was like maybe 3 years old. And I very vividly remember, though, in this movie, and it was like an old-timey. It must have been like from like the 60s, 70s. I don't know. But Dracula's coffin was in somebody's like closet. And then the coffin opened when they opened the door and he popped out. And my parents had this walk-in closet in their room. And it was the only walk-in closet in the house. The rest of us just had like the little small ones with the sliding door. And every time I went in their room at nighttime, like I avoided their walk-in closet because I was convinced that Dracula's coffin was in there.
For me, it was the basement. I had recurring nightmares about Dracula for like years, guys. Like years of recurring nightmares. I think what started it was a book, but I can't remember the book. I'll have to look into that on my own time. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be like terrified of Renfield if I like watched it now. But
he was not that scary. But like I said, the prosthetics were good. And actually, this kind of pivots into the book that I read and finished, I think even before, or after the episode last week. I don't think I talked about this, but the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I don't usually read horror books. I didn't realize this was a horror book. I think I just picked it up because I had seen it.
Like the title kind of gave it away.
I thought it was going to be more like tongue-in-cheek based on the title. I didn't think it would be like a relatively serious horror book, but it was very riveting. And I think I finished it in a matter of days, and it was quite good. So if you like spooky, scary stuff, I would say it was kind of akin to not Stephen King's darkest stuff, but the last Stephen King book I read was Sleeping Beauties. And I think kind of in terms of vibe, I would give it like tonally approximately that scary level, but a much shorter book than that one. And it just kept me hooked. I just kept reading. I think I went to bed the one night at like 2 a.m. because I just needed to finish.
I love books like that. They just keep you. Awesome. So you were really into vampires this week.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I didn't pick the movie, to be fair. That was all Techtic's doing. Like, I gave him a list of options, and that was the one he landed on. So
cool.
I told her if she picks what she wants to eat with the dinner, I'll pick a movie.
Ah, yes. The old bargain. Is that it? Are we going to move to Techtic?
We can.
Take it away.
Okay. So we had a lovely campfire, and a while back we went on a wine tour, and we bought this peach sparkly wine and just sat around the campfire sipping on our peach sparkly wine. It was
talking Moscato?
It was kind of like a champagne, honestly. I don't know what it was. It was dark. It was fire. But it was delicious. It was relaxing. And in this time of the year, I always recommend campfires, period. Just period. They're fantastic. And then the other thing is, so over the last week, I requested that Nerdbomber and Illeagle actually make their characters because, guys, things are moving. I've got level creation down. I've got sprite animation down. And now we're starting to import the graphics and get everything down. And once I get all the graphics imported and all of the different movements and things like that down, then comes powers. So I've been really disciplined on like allocating a few hours at least every single week and sometimes every single day if possible to just keeping this moving along. That's one of my biggest pitfalls with hobbies. And I told myself come 2023, I was really going to buckle down on whatever hobbies I do. So things are moving.
I feel like you're making incredibly fast progress. So you're holding to your mission.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed. I'll say it.
So that's me.
Cool, man. Well, it happened. It happened, I think, a day after we recorded last week, because first of all, the release schedule for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 didn't make any sense. It premiered on like a Monday. We record the show on Mondays. So I went to see it on Tuesday. And let me give my mini... I have a lot to say. Let me give my mini review. Here it is. Speaking as a fan of the franchise, seen all the movies multiple times, this was not the best Mission Impossible movie. Let me just dispel that notion entirely. I'm not sure there are many people saying it necessarily, but this is not the best. I don't know why you're approaching me with that tone, sir. But no, it was not the best. Fallout is and was and is the best one yet, in my opinion. This was pretty good. I mean, it was still like what you see is kind of what you get with these movies. That's one of the things that's great about them. You can probably predict the plot before you go in, and I pretty much did. He's fighting against AI. Like it's kind of like timely in a way. What's going on in this movie? It's obviously like nonstop. I tell you what my biggest takeaway is though, and I'm sorry, I don't often do this, but I have no choice in this particular case. So you guys know Haley Atwell. She was Peggy Carter in the Marvel movies, right? She's also the hottest woman alive. This movie, oh my goodness, it is just like first of all, you could argue she's the main character in this movie. They are starting to pivot away from Tom Cruise, and they are setting her up to do things. Without getting into spoilers, that's what they're. It seems like they might be doing. But oh my goodness, I want to hold her hand.
I have to say, holistically, just based on like the Twitter threads surrounding this movie, overall, the female cast are just really strong, impressive actresses. Like they were the real show. Tom Cruise, take a back seat.
Well, also, and like Pom Klementieff does not have many lines in this movie, but
that's what makes her so amazing. That's what everyone's clamoring about. She was basically silent art.
Yeah, it's a purposeful character choice, and it works really well. Vanessa Kirby is back. She was in the movie before this, and she's still good. And then, even moving away from the female, I mean, Rebecca Ferguson, who's been in the past few, but like Simon Pegg, really, really good. Like, I do think that like some of the best parts of what the Mission franchise has become has been like Simon Pegg kind of joining in like the third movie and his character evolving and now being like a really pivotal piece in the overarching story that has developed in the later movies. Ving Rhames, he's been in every single one. I think in the past 4 movies, you have not seen him standing up. He's always sitting down. It's great. He's on computers. It's just like it's a great summer movie. It's really, really entertaining. It's going to make a lot of money. I think it's doing really well so far. I would recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the franchise. I will say, if you're not a fan of the franchise, you're going to be pretty confused for a lot. Like there's subtext, certainly. But there's also like, if you want to just go and watch Tom Cruise, almost destroy his body, then there's no better way to do it. So that happened. The other thing I wanted to update on, and I think you guys might have watched this show, but maybe you haven't. Started watching Jury Duty. Did you guys watch Jury Duty?
So yeah.
We're late to this party, and we've been recommended it by a number of people. You guys, I'm sure, recommended it to me when you were watching it. We're not that. I think we're halfway through. I think we've watched 4 or 5 episodes. It's really good. It's really unique. Like I will say, it's taking in the early 2000s and onward. We've gotten a better sense for this like whole mockumentary format, but this takes it to the next level where like. I don't like it seems like because there's a lot of unknown actors, and there's some people that you do know, but there's a lot of unknown actors, and I'm like, the whole shtick of the show is like there's this guy who's been kind of put in this scenario, and he's the only one that doesn't know, and like everyone else is a paid actor, and I'm like, is that really what it is, or is that what the show says it is, and all of it's scripted? And like I think it's the latter, but like I also don't want to look it up because I want to just like experience the show for what it is and then learn everything about it afterwards. James Marsden is in it, and he is probably the funniest part.
He is fantastic.
He is the most consistently hilarious, like pitch perfect part of it the entire time, and also the part that leads you to believe that the whole thing is scripted because no one is like that. But it's just like, man, it's really, really entertaining. The other good thing about it is the episodes are like 20 some minutes long, so you can burn through them. We will be finishing it this week most likely, and really enjoying that so far.
I'm a big fan of, I think her name was Janine.
The girl who's
the messy one,
hitting on the kid. Yeah.
Yes, that whole thing.
She is probably my favorite character besides James Marsden. James Marsden is too good. He's my favorite one, but she is also amazing. Really good idea for a show. And not knowing how it ends, I don't know if there's like upcoming seasons or what they're going to do.
But so many things that were just ridiculous. I'm so excited that you're watching that.
Yeah, hold your tongue for now, because again, there's stuff, a lot of stuff I don't know. But yeah, really, really entertaining so far. So going to be sticking with that. Also, next week, this is not part of my what are you up to this week, but next week I will be gone. So you're going to have to deal with these 2 schmucks for an episode. I think you'll be all right. I think you guys will get through it. But if you don't, then it's whatever. The show is doomed. I don't know. Before I go, though, I have a quiz to administer, as I was the winner of last week. A quick update on the quiz tracking, the quiz rankings. Techtic is the top dog, 7-6. Congrats to Techtic. I'm at 7-9. Nerdbomber at 6-9. Steven, 3-0. So actually, Steven is really the top dog. But Nerdbomber, you have a chance this week to... Well, you have a chance to do something very interesting. If you win you and I would both be 7 and 9. Techtic would be 7 and 7. So basically, like, it's like we're just all tied at that point. I'm not going to say I'm rooting for you, but I'm not rooting for you because I think that would be very interesting. The quiz topic this week, William Joel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, his work. Billy Joel, guys. We're talking about Billy Joel. You guys know about Billy Joel? You know, the Piano Man guy. That's not one of the questions. That's just how you should know Billy Joel. So this is all going to be numerical Price is Right style sort of stuff. I got 5 questions. I have a tiebreaker if I need it. And we're just going to start with one of the basic Online Warriors staple quiz questions. How old is William Martin Joel? And we'll start with Techtic.
72.
And Nerdbomber.
I'm going to use my +1 early, 73.
A crucial +1. William Joel was born May 9th, 1949, making him 74 years old. So that was a good +1. Using your +1 early to great effect. Nerdbomber is on the board. Tracking from that, my next question. One of his biggest songs, arguably his most popular and biggest song, what put him on the map, Piano Man. In what year was this song released?
1981.
That's a strong guess. 1980. No. I'm going to say 1970.
That was a good guess, Techtic. 1973. He was 24 when this came out. You know, Nerdbomber, I appreciate your answer because I like to think that people can break late, you know. Like, he's 32 or however old he was at 1981, and he's making Piano Man.
Well, I didn't even think that was like his first breakout. Was that his breakout for sure?
Piano Man, I believe Piano Man was like his breakout. I don't have that information in front of me, but I think so. Certainly one of his earlier ventures. You know, next question. I got a lot of questions for me. I got to pick which one I think is best. How many Grammy Awards has Billy Joel won? It's 1-1, by the way, all tied up. This is intense.
This was 21.
I'm going to say 5. I feel like 21's overshooting it. It's hard to win a Grammy, right?
Man, it is hard to win a Grammy. Nerdbomber, you're putting some close guesses in today. 6. He's won 6 Grammy Awards, including Song of the Year and Album of the Year. I do think that 21... Gosh, I don't know if there's anyone who has 21 Grammy Awards. There probably is.
I was trying to be strategic.
You thought I would like go over and bust?
Yeah. I was trying because
Not so.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us then to how many top 40 hits has Billy Joel had in the United States? Now, this is, so, you know, you have to exit the critical lens of the Grammys and decide what do the real salt of the earth folks think of Billy Joel's music? How many top 40 hits in the United States has he had?
I think he's had 8.
9.
A solid +1. 33, guys. 33. I'm not going to list them all here, but Uptown Girl, We Didn't Start the Fire, Just the Way You Are. I mentioned Piano Man before. I mean, there's been a lot. He puts out banger after banger. That is for sure. So that means we are tied up going into the last question. Do I have that right?
Correct.
2-2. This is intense. Nerdbomber gets last ups. That is her right as, you know, not having as good a record.
The biggest.
Well, how many studio albums has Billy Joel released?
21.
And Nerdbomber.
This feels like deja vu. I'll say 5.
13. Lucky number 13.
Yes.
Nerdbomber takes it. The dream lives on. And Nerdbomber moves 7 and 9. Techtic to 7 and 7. So we all have 7 wins on the year. We've accomplished nothing. We're all exactly as smart as each other.
No, but it's by percentage, so I'm still in first.
If you want to get technical, that's true.
It's my
I
whole
would rather
name
not get technical. That's a good point. Next time all 3 of us are back together on the show, there will be a showdown for supremacy between Techtic and myself. And I plan on winning. I've said that a lot on this show, but I always mean it, and I rarely deliver. Be ready for that. Thank you all for joining us. Head over to Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review if you liked the show or any part of the show. Hit us up on Twitter, @OWLeague86, @OWTechtic, @OWNerdbomber. Our main show account, @OnlineWarriors1, and our Threads account, Online Warriors Podcast. Check us out over there. Do I put the @ still? I think I do, right? It's still @.
Think so? Question mark?
It's like the squiggly thread symbol. You'll figure it out. And yeah, you know, in the meantime, keep eating ice cream for dinner, stay safe, and keep on podcasting.